Lord was getting all over me over there. And we're going to be in Genesis chapter, I believe it's going to be 20 or 21. Okay, yep, 20. 22, sorry. I got them confused. We're going to be where God asked Abraham to sacrifice his son. We're going to start at verse 1. And it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham and said unto him, Abraham, and he said, Behold, here I am. And he said, Take now thy son, thy only son, Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of. And Abraham rose up early in the morning, and saddled up his ass, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up and went unto the place of which God told him. Then on the 3rd day Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto the young men, Abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship and come again to you. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son, and he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and they went both of them together. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father, and said, Father, and he said, Here am I, my son. And he said, Behold the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? And Abraham said, My son, God will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. And they went both of them together, and they came to the place which God had told him of. And Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven, and said, Abraham, Abraham. He said, Here am I. And he said, Lay not thy hand upon the lad, neither do thou any unto him. For now I know that thou fearest God, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thy only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold behind him a round cock, and in the thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram, and offered up to a burnt offering in the stead of his son. And Abraham called the name of that place Jehovah, as it is said unto the day, and the mouth of the Lord shall be saved. Let us pray. Father, thank you, Lord, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for our brothers. God, Lord, I pray that you'd help them tonight, God, Lord, that you thank you for the word. Lord God, I pray that you just use them, Lord, have mercy tonight, have your way. Lord, anoint him tonight, Lord, I don't know, God, Lord, as he was upon his, Lord God. Lord, help me, God, Lord, we need you to pour into us tonight, God, Lord, and that's what we need. Oh, God, have mercy. In Jesus' name.
Amen. And I've been kind of thinking, this thought come to me. I was in church and I was flipping through my Bible because, this morning I had to preach on the radio and I was talking about, we all have that one friend, Brother Chad, that we can call whenever it is, the middle of the night, middle of the day, whenever it is, and they'll be there to help us. It don't matter what time, they'll be there. And, I was sitting there thinking, they're going to fail us at some point too. But we got a friend named Jesus that'll be there when we're in the middle of the fight for our life and we can't get to that phone to call somebody. And, it goes right here with Abraham. He had to have a real relationship with God. That's my question for you. Do you have a serious relationship with God? Because Brother Brad just put the icing on the cake, I believe, for me. Because, what he went through, he wouldn't have been able to go through that without a real relationship with God. God would not have showed him the things he showed him and the other people that's had similar encounters. And what I'm going to ask you is we can all stand to get closer with God. we can stand to get things tidied up a little bit and throw a few things out, Brother Chad. And you know, because you know, the world gets enough of us Monday through Friday, or how many every days a week you work. And you know, and it's hard, and you know, it's probably hard for some of us to give God a couple hours a day, Brother Chad. And we got quite a few people, they want to pretend to have a relationship with God only on Wednesdays and 2 services on Sunday. And they got everybody food in the church. And you know, I don't know who this is for, but you know, it goes for all of us. We all got room to get closer to God. And you know, I want to have faith like Abraham had. Because you know, he talks about how he never said just talking about he would come back. He said we will both come back. And you know, he had faith that him and the boy was going to come back. He knew God was going to provide the perfect offering, the perfect sacrifice, and he knew that he didn't know what it would be, but he knew that it would be something that it would be for him to bring back. And he knew that God was going to provide, and that's how we need to be on earth right now. Well, he will provide us whatever we need. It don't matter if we're short on money or we don't know how we're going to get that bill paid. God's going to provide the funds to do it with, and he's going to provide whether you're struggling with certain things. God's going to give you the opportunity. If you ask him for it, and it's not something crazy, he'll give it to you. It may not be exactly what you have in your mind, but he'll give it to you. You know, sometimes it takes us, my whole entire time, I want to start off with something, you know, and then I had to learn I got to build up to that. And that's how we're in a place where we think we should start off on top. Instead of having to start off, you know, growing step by step. And, you know, Abraham, you know, I believe that he knew, you know, he's probably like when God asked him, you know, sacrifice my son. He was sitting there, he was like, you just give him to me. Why are you going to make me? I just can't help to think, you know, I prayed for him and you give him to us. Why are you going to make me sacrifice him? You know, I believe that Abraham would have raised him up, though, if he would have had to done it. But I believe God was just trying to see if Abraham would have been obedient to him. I believe he was just testing him. And, you know, God may be testing you to see if you're going to do the right thing. Because, you know, God needs somebody that he can trust. And I want to be somebody that he can trust with everything he wants. I hope all of us can be that person for God. Because, you know, there's certain things that you can do for God that I can't do for God, Brother Chad and Brother Brad. There's certain people you can get to that I can't get to. And, you know, but we got to do things in order. Because God's got a way of order. And if it's not in order, he can't use you. You can't go, you know, when we sin, it sets us back, Brother Chad. I firmly believe that. You know, it sets us back certain spots. And, you know, when we get right, you know, we got to slowly build our faith. We won't get a faith like Abraham overnight. We got to build it over time. And people's like, they want their life to be all hunky and dory. But if you get it that way, how are you going to learn how to trust God? Because God has to take you through them valleys to show you what he can do for you and how he can help you and not give up. You know, the first time of trouble, we want to run and hide and be like, I'm too scared to get out and go fight. I'm going to sit here for a little while. We can't be that way. We got to get out and have the faith that God's going to take care of us. If we have the whole armor of God on, we may have problems, but as long as we don't do it by ourselves, we're good. We got God. And you know, Abraham, he had God. He had our best friend with us. The one that's got our back no matter what. It don't matter what circumstances, he'll go in the heat of the battle with us. And you know, we take that for granted, Brother Chad. We take it for granted we have a God that'll go through us with whatever it is. He'll set us on the mountain and we'll be in the valley sometimes, but he's going to get us through it. You know, we got too many crybabies nowadays, I guess you'd call it. They don't want to do whatever it takes for God. They want to do what they want to do in the way they want to do it, and it doesn't work that way. God's got this Bible right here, and it tells you exactly how to get to heaven. And it's pretty simple, really. He says, don't do this, and don't do that, and we'll be good. But there's too many people, they overcomplicate it. They make it so hard that they make it like a genius would have to understand it. God made it to where a child could understand this. And you know, God loves his little children. And I know he loved Isaac. And he loved Abraham. And you know, I just couldn't help but I've been thinking about, you know, it comes across my mind every once in a while about, you know, Isaac. You know, when you look through the Bible and certain things, it's like, oh, that. And then you start thinking on it at some point, you know. And, you know, I couldn't help but think, you know, Isaac, You know, Abraham probably loved him with everything in him. That's the son I prayed for probably a long time. And now I finally got him. Surely God won't make me hurt him or sacrifice him. And you know, the men, they're probably like, what's this dude doing? And you know, I'm sure Abraham come down a blessed man after that. Because you know, I believe God blessed him because it says Abraham is again blessed. And you know, to get blessings, we got to do things for God. But when I do stuff for God, I don't expect nothing out of it. Because I want to do things for God without expecting anything out of it. Because He done the best thing for me. He saved my soul from a devil's hell. And He saved me. So what do I have to expect something from Him? He done the best thing for me I could ever do. He gave me an assurance that I wouldn't have to worry about going to an old devil's hell. He told me, I'll help you fight that old slewfoot. As long as you'll stick with me and do the stuff I ask you to do, I'll help you. And as long as you don't leave me, and you know, the only reason why we go through the things by ourselves is because we choose to. You can't expect God to do certain things for you if you're not going to be obedient and do as He says. I get it, a mistake happens, Brother Chad. But if it happens repeatedly, it becomes willful sinning. And I don't want to ever get there. I ask God when I wake up every morning, if I've done anything, please forgive me for it. Because there's some things that we do that we don't know about, Brother Chad. There's some things that we may say in the heat of the moment, we just don't realize it. Or something we've done. And then there's sometimes we do get mad and we say something and we're like, I shouldn't have said that. Because, you know, I don't like, you know, when we get mad, you know, that's when we're the quickest to say anything to anybody. And we don't mean a word of it, but words, you know, once you say them, you can't reel them back in and put them back in your mouth. And, you know, I don't want to be a hindrance or a slipping point to anybody. I want to be able to help them through this life, you know. And I want to be like Abraham, and I want to have the faith he has because he helped. Because, you know, he was, you know, it's like when we're at the last minute, something will pop up that we needed, that we didn't think we was going to get. That's how I think of whenever that round popped up. He was like, ooh, that right there. Because, you know, when it says, where it talks about, where he said Abraham, and I believe he said it twice. He said, Abraham, he said, here am I. He was letting him know because I believe Abraham was getting ready to come down with a knife. He was getting ready to slay his own son for the Lord. And the angel had to, Abraham, you know, catch him because he probably wasn't hearing him the first time, so he had to say it a second time. You know, that's how God is with us. He has to say us. Sometimes He has to tell us multiple times. You know, when God asks us to do something, sometimes we're like, is that really what you want me to do, God? And He's like, yeah, go do it. Go do this. And, you know, sometimes I guess we don't comprehend what He's telling us that we got to do, brother. And, you know, there's sometimes God will bless us in ways that we never expected. And, you know, sometimes we'll get mad when God don't answer our prayer a certain way, or we'll head into something He's telling us. You never know what God may have in store for you. He may have the biggest blessing in store for you that you'll ever get in your entire life. And, you know, that's the way I look at life. I may not want to do certain things down here, but I got to do it to get to the bigger goal ahead. I got to get to heaven. That's the main goal. And if I don't do anything else on this earth, I got to make it to heaven. Because if I don't make it to heaven, I missed it all. I don't want to let this old world get in my way. Because if something in this world gets in my way and it starts to hinder me, it's got to go. We got to throw it out the window. That's how we got to get closer to God, to get to where He'll do stuff for us. There's sometimes we may have to sacrifice from this old world. We may have to say, I can't do it no more. It's like Brother Josh. He said he can't drink a sundrop. That may sound silly, but if God told him to do it, then you got to do it. Then you got to do what God tells you to do. And sometimes He's not doing it to take it away from you. He's doing it to see if you'll do it. It's a test. And I believe some of us has got tests that we're going to have to face one day. And we may not be able to, we can't do it on our own. You know, when we get called to preach, me and Brother Chad or Brother Josh can't get up here on our own. Because if I get up here on my own, I can't do nothing. I can't speak. I can't do nothing. And I don't want to ever get up here on my own because I don't want to say nothing that'll hurt somebody. That's what I told a brother today at the radio station. I said, I don't want to say nothing to hurt anybody. But I don't want to be, and he was talking about we can't be held back. Because if we're not careful, we'll stay so held back, God can't use us. We got too many people in the church, even I guess in here too, that we're too scared of what people's going to think of us and how they're going to look at us for doing God's work. And when we step out, it don't matter what they say, it matters what God says. And I'm going to stand on what God tells me to do, because if He tells me to do it or tells you to do it, you can do it, because He wouldn't told you to do it if you couldn't. He's give you the tools in your toolbox to do it. You may not be able to do it right now, but we got so many people, they're like, what is my job? God will tell you what your job is. It may not be right now, it may be in a year or two. I asked God, I said, what do you want me to do? But I did put a thing. I said, I'm not going to preach. I'll do anything but preach. And he's like, well, I guess that's what I want you to do. But that's what I want you to do, but it ain't going to. I was like, well, I'm not going to do it. It's just not going to happen. And then it just got on me so hard. And I was sitting on the porch getting messages. And I was like, you really want me to do this? And God finally opened doors for me to be able to do it. He told God, if you're really called to do it, He'll open doors. It may not be where you want them to be open, but He'll open them for you. And that goes for anywhere. He opened the door for Abraham not to kill his son. He'll open one for you not to have to do. Something you may think is the worst thing you're going through in life, like Job. He lost everything. He was at the lowest he's ever been. And for us to be completely done with something in our life, we got to get to our lowest point sometimes, Brother Chad. Sometimes you can't break the cycle until you're at your lowest point. And I've seen people with addiction, whatever it may be, at their lowest point. And I see my mother swallowed up in addiction. And people probably thought she was going to die out of it. But she managed to get right with God, and it may have took her going to jail or wherever, but she got out of it. And that was like with God when I backslid on God. It took my dad getting in church for me to be able to do it. Because I got to a point I didn't like Christian people, and I don't know why I was at that point, because I never had a bad experience with one. But it's just that old devil playing them mind games with you. The devil will make you hate people that love you more than anything. He will make you hate things and things that you used to love, because he plays them mind games with you to make you get to where you don't like anybody or anything. I was miserable, and I didn't like nobody around me. If you wasn't miserable, I didn't want you around me. Because, misery loves company, and, that's all the Lord's given me. And, we never can stop growing, Brother Chad.
Stand with us this evening. Maybe God's got something for you to do. God's telling you to do something, or telling you to step out on faith on something, to go for that job, or go for that interview, or step out and sing that song, or tell that testimony, or preach that message, or whatever it is that God's telling you. The best thing you could do is raise the knife